I still remember the rush of excitement I felt as my best friend, Sarah, and I packed our bags for the festival in the Bavarian forests. We had been planning this trip for months, and the anticipation had been almost too much to bear. As we arrived at the festival grounds, the music and energy of the crowd hit us like a wave. We immediately felt like we belonged and spent the entire evening dancing and having the time of our lives. It was towards the end of the night when things started to get strange. Sarah and I had met a couple of guys who seemed nice enough, and we ended up drinking with them. But as the night went on, we both started feeling extremely high. We couldn't focus or even stand up straight. At first, we thought we had just had too much to drink, but as the effects continued to intensify, we started to suspect that our drinks had been spiked. We knew we had to get out of there. We managed to escape from the guys and stumbled our way through the woods, trying to calm down and figure out what to do. The trees seemed to spin around us, and the air felt thick and heavy. We could barely walk, let alone think clearly. As we wandered aimlessly through the dense, dark forest, we couldn't shake the strange feeling that something was guiding us. It was like a force beyond our understanding was calling us towards a particular destination. And as we stumbled upon an ancient, crumbling cave with mysterious, pagan-like inscriptions etched into the stone, we knew that we had reached our destination. Despite our initial reservations, we felt inexplicably drawn to the cave, as if some unseen force was urging us to enter its shadowy depths. As we cautiously made our way deeper into the cave system, we were greeted by a series of winding tunnels and chambers filled with ancient, esoteric artwork. It was as if we had stepped back in time into a world that was both familiar and completely foreign. But it was the mysterious, that really captured our attention. We felt drawn to it, like we had no choice but to enter its dark depths. We felt we were having a crazy hallucinogenic trip, but we were powerless against it. We swam down, our rational minds unable to control our bodies as we descended into the unknown, and that's when things got surreal. Suddenly, the laws of gravity seemed to invert, and we felt as if we were falling downwards through the water. It was as if we were being pulled into another world entirely. We struggled to swim back up to the surface, but it was no use. The forces at play were too strong, and we were sucked down into the abyss. After what seemed like an eternity, we emerged from a portal and into the strange new world. We were immediately struck by the otherworldly landscape that surrounded us. It was like nothing we had ever seen before. A wild, untamed wilderness filled with towering, alien plants that seemed to watch our every move with a strange, almost sentient presence. The air was thick and heavy, filled with the pungent scent of exotic flowers and the hum of strange, unseen creatures. The ground beneath our feet was soft and spongy, dotted with patches of glowing mushrooms and tangled vines that seemed to twist and writhe as if alive. We stood there, taking in the impossible landscape around us, our minds struggling to comprehend what was happening. We knew we had to find some kind of refuge, some way to make sense of this bizarre world. As we stumbled through the forest, we came across a clearing where we met a being unlike any other. His body was that of a person, and he had the head of a goat. Despite the strangeness of his appearance, there was something charismatic and reassuring about him. He spoke in a strange tongue, which sounded almost beautiful. We had no idea what words he spoke, and yet somehow we understood his meaning almost perfectly. His name was unpronounceable to us, but it sounded somewhat like Robin, so that's what we called him. Robin welcomed us into his home, a small but cozy hut nestled among the trees. He listened patiently as we told him our story and offered us food and shelter. We were grateful for his kindness and felt a sense of safety and comfort in his presence. Robin told us that there was a way for us to return to our own world, but it wouldn't be easy. He said that the only way back was for all three of us to travel together through a portal that led back to our own dimension. We were determined to find this portal and make our way home, so we set off on a journey that took us deep into the heart of the wilderness. We trekked for miles through dense forests and over rocky mountain ranges, guided by Robin's unerring sense of direction. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, we arrived at a well that looked exactly like the one we had found back in the cave. It was as if the forces that had brought us here were now leading us back home. Without hesitation, we stepped into the well and felt gravity once again invert around us, pulling us down into the depths of the darkness. I climbed out of the well, shaking and disoriented, followed closely by Robin. I looked around, expecting to see Sarah emerge from the well behind us, but she was nowhere to be found. My heart started to race with increasing concern as I called out her name, but there was no response. I turned to Robin, hoping he could shed some light on what had happened, but as I looked up at him, I was shocked by the malevolence I saw in his eyes. It was like a veil had been lifted, revealing the true nature of the being standing before me. "Where is Sarah?" I demanded, my voice shaking with fear. Robin looked down at me with a cruel smile, his eyes glinting with amusement. "She is gone," he said, his voice dripping with malice. "Her life was the price of my assistance." I felt a wave of shock and horror wash over me as I realized the truth of his words. Sarah had been sacrificed so that I could return home. And as I looked at Robin, I saw that he was not the kind, benevolent being I had thought he was. He was something far darker, far more sinister. He chuckled at my expression, enjoying my realization of what had happened, and with a glint in his eye, he vanished into the shadows, leaving me alone in darkness. I gathered all my strength and ran out of the cave, following the faint sounds of the festival in the distance. My heart was pounding in my chest as I stumbled through the woods, my mind racing with fear and confusion. Finally, I burst out of the trees and into the crowded festival grounds. I was greeted by the sight of people dancing and laughing, completely unaware of the nightmare I had just experienced. I grabbed the first person I saw and started babbling about the cave, about Sarah, about the strange, magical world we had stumbled upon. The person I grabbed turned out to be an off-duty police officer, and he listened patiently as I told my story. He looked skeptical at first, but as I explained more and more, he seemed to take me seriously. He called in some backup, and they started searching the woods, looking for the cave and any trace of Sarah. But despite their best efforts, they never found anything. No cave, no portal, no trace of Sarah. The official report said that it was all a hallucinogenic event caused by the cocktail of drugs they found in my system. They said I had an acute psychotic episode and that I was carried away by the festival atmosphere and the drugs. In short, that I simply had a bad trip. But I knew that wasn't the case. I had never had a trip as vivid or as real as that one. And to this day, I'm still not sure what happened. Was it real, or was it all just in my mind? If it was real, then what happened to Sarah? Did she make it back to our world, or was she trapped in that strange, magical place forever? I may never know the answers to these questions, but I'll never forget that night in the Bavarian forests. It was a night that changed my life forever, and one that will haunt me for the rest of my days.